Welcome back to Discovering an Educated Life. This is Megan, and today I'm going to give you an update on our math. So if you don't know, we're using Adventures in U.S. History. I have one third grader, and we are using Singapore for our math. That's My Father's World's recommendation. And I just kind of want to go over, give you a 6-week update on how that's going and what we're doing. We did use My Father's World in first grade, so I kind of want to give you a math overview of what we've covered. We used Saxon Math K in kindergarten along with My Father's World K. First grade, we used just My Father's World Math that comes with their first grade year. And then in second grade, my daughter placed into 1B, but she was like a little iffy on some of the terms. So I just took her all the way back to 1A. And for second grade, we did 1A and 1B so that she would have that firm foundation in Singapore. And now we are doing Singapore 2A, and we will be working through 2B also this year. And so if you don't know about Singapore, Singapore is advanced per public school grade level. For instance, in the 1B, we introduced multiplication and division. So that's obviously a little different than a normal first grade program. But she's taken to it really well. She's definitely mathematically minded, that she thinks like this. I don't necessarily think like this, but she does. So I just want to show you guys what we're using, what manipulatives I think are important to have, and how it's going. So we did choose to use the AVIX. This is from Sunlight, I think, and you can get it from some other places. This is important. This is the Home Instructor's Guide. This is vital in my mind. For 1A and B, it wasn't, but for 2A, I needed this. So I just want to say I did need this. I didn't get tons of the other extras. We just have the textbook and the workbook. But I think it's enough. I personally think it's enough. We do the games, we use this guide. We are using in the back of this has mental math worksheets. We have used some of those, but I didn't get like all the extras, like the word problems, because there are word problems in here. So, or the intensive practice, but if I hit a bump where she's not doing too hot in a certain area, I will then probably go out and purchase that. I just don't think it's necessary if she's zooming through it. Like, I don't think it's necessary to do all that intense practice if she understands it. I understand needing to know it well, and practice makes perfect. But if you are zooming through and you're consistently practicing that topic, I just don't think that it's necessary. So especially at this level, maybe if she was a little bit more intense, like math, we would consider it. But anyways, so I don't want to dwell on that. So far we've done Unit 1, which was numbers to 1,000. We're on weeks, we've talking about 6 weeks of school here. So we've done Unit 1, which was numbers to 1,000, and Unit 2, which is addition and subtraction. But that's all we've gotten done. We're on the end of that unit. But let me tell you, the reason we're on the end of that unit, it's not that she's struggling, because she's done really well, but we quickly went from things like, let me just show you an example at the beginning of the year, things that were very, very basic, like matching hundreds, okay, to things like subtraction with 3 digits and borrowing. So it changed quickly. Now, I will say we did subtraction with borrowing, and we did addition with renaming in second grade a lot. We covered a lot of that, but we did it in mental math because it taught her how to do it in her head first, and so that she could do that. And so she's had a little bit of a translation issue to do these algorithms, because when she's doing this algorithm, it's a little different because she's not thinking of like the tens digits as just these two numbers need subtracted in the tens column. She wants to think of it as this is 40, not 4. And this is 50, not 5. So she likes to think of it in those terms. And sometimes it gets her a little confused when she's writing it in here. But she's kind of overcome that now that we keep practicing and we've done different things. So how this works, the textbook, I just want to show you if you've never used Singapore, because I haven't really went over it a lot. The textbook kind of goes like this. It'll have it'll introduce a topic. This is addition and subtraction. This is the very beginning of unit 2. And then it'll go through and there'll be problems and different things to do. And then eventually you'll get to where there's these little arrows and they'll tell you to do your workbook exercise. So typically in the teacher's guide, that's where a workbook exercise would be scheduled. And then you would just get in here and find that exercise and do it. The teacher's guide helps a lot because they'll tell you oh, you may not want to do this exercise yet because you might want to cover this topic a little more in depth or do some more practice or things like that. And then sometimes in the textbook, there's review, and sometimes, let me see if I can find one of these reviews. There are practices, practice pages, and this is where you need a little notebook like this. So I did get her a little practice notebook for her problems. And sometimes there's a review in here. And then when there's a review in here, I treat that like a test, and that kind of tells me if she has it down. She actually has not had a review yet, and I think she'll have one maybe this week or next week. And I will show you. A review it's pretty straightforward. It's everything she's covered up until that point. So it'll go right back to the beginning. A lot of times it's a little easier than what she was currently covering, just to reinforce and make sure, hey, we didn't talk about this for quite a while. Do you still remember it? And then if she doesn't still remember it, we need to go back through and go through those lessons. So that's like how one of the reviews is set up. And then, so it's about 4 pages long, that review. And how I treat that is I will go over all of it with her. I read it with her. I make sure she understands what's expected of her, and I walk away. You can't ask for help on a review. Any other time of the year, she can ask for help. But when she's doing these, I need to know that she knows this. And it's not a test necessarily for the sake of oh, it's a test and you have to do good. It's a test just to see, it's a review test. It's to see if she has the information down. And if she doesn't have the information down, we need to go over it more. That's all it's for. It's for my sake for that. So let me show you what I think is important to use and what you need for this year. Now we do have a base 10 set, and if you don't have one, I highly recommend a base 10 set. I used it a lot in even first grade. I will say you don't have to have one for this grade. We've used it a few times. In the beginning of the year, we used it a little. I don't think it's 100% necessary for this age though. What I will tell you is necessary are these. These are just little place value discs, and we've used them a lot. And establishing addition and subtraction, and I'll show you why. The renaming, there's tons of these little things they do in the textbook. So when they're showing this, I find it helpful to use these. And then if she's struggling through a problem, I can pull these out and she understands what I'm doing because that's what they use as an example in her textbook. These, I think, are very vital, in my opinion, for this level. Now, I think in 1A, it was 1A and B, the base 10 was a little more valuable, but at this level, I think you need these. My personal opinion is that you do. I think it does tell you to get them or something like them. And then I just made this. It's just, I got this from Dollar Tree, and I put, just used a ruler, made this little hundreds, tens, and ones, and I use a dry erase on this, and then we use it with these, and she uses it for adding and subtracting and a lot of different stuff we've done so far this year. Obviously, once we dig into a little bit more of multiplication and division, and we're going to be doing a lot of measuring and volume and stuff, we won't need it as much for that. But where we're at right now, we definitely needed that. And another thing you need, if you're using this, especially if you're using this teacher's guide, the home instruction guide, you need dice and you need playing cards, because all of the games that we are loving, there's a lot of games. We've played a game at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. We play games, and you need both of these things to do it. I picked up this pack at Dollar Tree, And these were like a couple bucks added on to an Amazon order. So it's not expensive. It's not like crazy resources. I think these were $6. So altogether in my required resources, I'm telling you, for Singapore, you might spend $10 or $12. It's super easy. It's not a super expensive curriculum. To me, it's very open and go. I will say it is a little teacher intensive. You're gonna need to sit down with your kid, and they can't play a game by themselves, or they can't present the lesson to themselves. There's no DVD, you're teaching it. But so far, 6 weeks in, a year and 6 weeks in, because we did it last year, I love Singapore. Can't say enough great things about it, and it really works for my daughter. So let me know what math curriculum is working for you. I know everyone has their own favorite. If you've used Singapore, how's it gone in the later years? I'm interested to find that out, as eventually we're not going to use Singapore because they only go to grade 6, or level 6. So eventually we will have to make a transition to something else, and I'm interested in how that will go. And just let me know what math curriculum you're using and loving, and how transitions from Singapore, or how your later years of Singapore went. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe.